My boyfriend, who is 24 years old, and I, who am also 24 years old, have been together for 4 years. Last week, I had some abdominal pain, so I decided to go get it checked out by my general practitioner. She recommended that I go to the hospital as she thought it was something quite serious. I was pretty scared at this point, so I asked my boyfriend to come with me. This was during work hours, but he had no problems coming with me. We were in the hospital for about 6 hours before they diagnosed me with appendicitis and told me I needed to get surgery. He was with me the entire 6 hours and through all the tests they gave me before my diagnosis. He only left to get some food and to get my stuff, as I had to stay overnight. He stayed until visiting hours were over. The next day I had my surgery, and my boyfriend came to visit me during his lunch break. I had a lot of muscle pain in my upper body due to the anesthetic, and it was painful to even move around. I had to stay in the hospital for the rest of the day, but they told me I could leave that night. He came to pick me up and also picked up my painkillers for me. He helped me get into bed, then he went to play video games. I asked him to help me get ready to sleep, but he kept asking for one more game. I said I was already falling asleep and just wanted to brush my teeth and go to bed. He came down to help me, but he seemed to be in a rush to go back. He kept asking me what more I needed and went back to playing when he was done. The next morning, he made me breakfast and cleaned up our room as my parents were coming to visit me. I asked my mom to bring me a massager, as my muscle pains were still unbearable. My mom gave us some food, and he bought me some of it for lunch. He would help me get up and go to the bathroom when I needed to. After my parents left, I decided to take a nap, so he went to play some games. When I woke up, I needed to go to the bathroom, so I asked him to come help me. While I was in the bathroom, I got the muscle pains again and needed to lie down. I asked him to give me a massage with the massager, and he asked me if I really needed it. I told him it was really painful, but he wouldn't do it. I started crying from the pain, and he didn't even try to console me. One of our flatmates told us our cats had made a mess upstairs, and he had to go clean it up. He got quite frustrated at this point and threw his phone on the ground. I could tell he was getting stressed, so I asked my mom to come pick me up. He came back, and we started talking about why he couldn't help me. He said that he didn't want to take care of me, and it was time-consuming. He didn't realize how much work it would be, and that I was a burden. At this point, I started sobbing and caused myself a lot of pain in my abdomen. He asked me to stop because I was hurting myself, but he didn't do anything to console me. He started to help me pack my stuff to stay at my parents' house. He said he was sorry and that he was disappointed in himself. When I was leaving, he apologized again. I've been staying at my parents' house since then. It's been a couple of days, and I've talked to him about what he said and how it hurt my feelings. He's apologized again for being selfish and how he should have put more effort in. He said he would understand if I wanted to end the relationship. I don't know what to do. I don't want to break up, but at the same time, I can't stop thinking about what he said. I keep thinking about what would have happened if I was in a worse state or if my mom wasn't here. I can't imagine not wanting to take care of someone that I love. But I also can't think of any 24-year-old man being able to take good care of me. He's been a good boyfriend for the last 4 years, but I'm scared of what might happen if I get really sick or injured. What would happen if we decide to have a baby in the future? If he would be able to take care of me? I just need some advice on what to do. To add, I didn't need help brushing my teeth or going to the toilet. I needed help getting out of bed because I couldn't do a crunch to get myself up. I brushed my own teeth and went to the toilet by myself. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Friend, he's already proven himself. He's proven that he will not be there for you when you need him. Having health issues at some point is pretty much inevitable, and he has shown you who he is loud and clear. You should end the relationship. You deserve better. I have nursed my partner through illness and injury, and he has done the same for me. It's not fun, but it's also a privilege to be there for someone you love. It's not a burden. Comment 2. The fact that he brought up that he understands if you wanted to end the relationship tells me that he is looking for a way out. Sounds like he's just trying to push you to make the decision to leave, so he doesn't have to be the one to do it. You should just leave him and move on. Now, for the update, I'm back home in my apartment, still feeling like I got run over by a bus. It's been a week since the surgery, and I just can't shake off the soreness and weakness. My boyfriend's popped in a couple of times, but honestly, it feels like I'm just another NPC in his video game world. He's all about those games, and I'm here just trying to heal, which has left me feeling like a total ghost in my own life. I know my parents care, and they have called a bunch to check on me. They keep offering to come over and help, but I keep saying no. I'm determined to be independent and get through this on my own. I guess I just didn't want to feel like a burden again. So one evening, I thought I'd try to feel a bit normal and make dinner. Big mistake. I was struggling with the simplest tasks like chopping an onion. My boyfriend came home just as I was trying to figure out how to peel the thing without crying. I asked him if he could help me chop some vegetables, and you would have thought I asked him to do something huge. He rolled his eyes and muttered something about how I should be able to handle it by now. I just wanted to cry, but I held it together. Then we went to my parents' house for the weekend. I thought maybe being around family would help us reconnect. My dad asked how I was feeling, and I mentioned that I was still recovering. My boyfriend immediately jumped in and said it was just a minor surgery that I should be over already. I could tell my mom was ready to give him the disapproving look of death. Later that evening, my younger sister showed me a scrapbook she made. She's really creative, and it made me smile. My boyfriend? He was just sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like a zombie, not even trying to engage with my family. Then the big news came. My brother Jake and his wife Rachel announced they were having a baby. Everyone went crazy with excitement, and I was happy for them, but my boyfriend just sat there like a lump. On the way home, we got into it about him not being interested in my family. He said I was being too sensitive, and that family stuff wasn't his thing. I was like, well, it should be since you're with me. The next day, I found a message on his phone from a mutual friend asking about our relationship. I confronted him, and he brushed it off like it was just a joke. But it felt off. A few days later, I thought maybe I could get my parents' help with my boyfriend. So I invited them over for dinner to talk things through. During dinner, my mom brought up her concerns about our relationship, and my boyfriend got all defensive. He started arguing that my parents were overstepping and that they didn't know our dynamic. What dynamic? The one where he ignores me? After dinner, my mom pulled me aside in the kitchen and urged me to think about my future. I just nodded because I knew what she meant. The next morning, I woke up and my boyfriend had left for the day without saying goodbye. I texted him to ask where he was, and he didn't respond for hours. When he finally came back, he didn't even offer an explanation for where he was. Feeling like I needed to clear my head, I decided to take a walk and ended up at a local coffee shop. And guess what? I ran into an old friend there. We chatted about life changes and relationship struggles, and she shared her experience of ending a relationship that wasn't healthy. It hit home for me. The next evening, I sat down with my boyfriend to discuss the future. He seemed dismissive, like this was just another boring quest he had to get through. I told him how I felt, and he just looked frustrated. Then he suggested that maybe we should reconsider our relationship. I ended the conversation by saying we needed space to think, and he left the apartment. Now I'm here, typing this out and just trying to figure out what the heck to do. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years, and he has always been caring and supportive in normal situations. However, this experience made me realize that he might not be able to handle high-pressure circumstances. His reaction to my surgery and recovery was unlike how he usually behaves, which makes me question if this is truly his character or if he was just overwhelmed. As for my parents, they have always been protective, but I appreciate their concern in this matter. I want to be independent, but I also need to know that my partner can be relied upon. Am I the idiot for crafting a meaningful engagement ring only to discover my fiancé secretly wants a diamond? I have been with my now fiancé for 4 years. Last weekend, we went on a camping trip to enjoy the last sunlight before winter. I had packed some extra items and surprised her with a romantic dinner in the woods. Later that night, I proposed to her. She was extremely happy and said yes. I thought everything was great until yesterday when I overheard her talking with someone on the phone about the ring, and I decided to listen in. She told whoever it was that she felt sorry for me because she had to pretend to like it. I only heard her half of the conversation, but she also implied that she wanted a diamond. This crushed me. The thing about the ring is that it is set with our birthstones, which I faceted myself with the help of a friend. A ruby and a blue sapphire. I thought this was perfect since they are hard enough for everyday use, and even though they represent different months, rubies and sapphires are actually the same material, which I thought was the kind of cheesy romantic thing she would like. It took me months to get them exactly how I wanted. I had to spend so many hours in my friend's workshop while not being gone long enough for her to get suspicious. Not to mention the time my friend spent teaching and helping me. Now all that feels pointless. I just wish I could take the whole proposal back, forget this ever happened, and just buy a damn diamond ring. It's not like I'm the one who will wear it. It feels extra disappointing since every year I try to learn something new, like juggling, handstands, welding, etc. I've told her that it was a secret this year because it was gem cutting. She has never specifically mentioned diamonds, nor does she have an expensive or flashy taste in other things, like clothes or cars. I never even considered she wouldn't like the ring. She asked me if something was wrong today, and I just said I was so overwhelmed by the engagement thing. We just laughed about how we won't stress it and won't overdo the wedding planning, etc. My regret is ending the life of me, and I dread bringing this up with her. I love her, and I'd hate to let her wear a ring she doesn't want. But I can't see how the conversation will ever have a positive outcome if I bring it up. She wears it all the time and seems so happy, but now I know it's an act. Seeing the ring honestly makes me feel terrible. Not only because she doesn't want it, but her friends probably also know she doesn't want it. Now I almost wish she'd said no instead. What on earth do I do? It's late here and I need to sleep, but if anyone has any advice, I promise to read it in the morning. To add, we have talked about rings before. I knew she didn't want yellow gold or one of those rings where the gem stands up all exposed because they look so fragile. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. She's faking loving the ring because she loves you. She cares more about you and the upcoming marriage than she does about the ring. That is a good thing. It's unfortunate that this isn't what she wanted, but it's pretty clear that she's still absolutely ecstatic to be marrying you. Would you be open to talking to her about it and asking her if she'd like to pick out a diamond ring together for her to wear daily? Maybe you could turn the ring you proposed with into a necklace that she can also wear when she wants to. Also, I understand hindsight is 20/20, but this is a clear example of why someone should always know that the person they're proposing to actively wants a non-traditional ring before proposing with one. Comment 2. You put a ton of work into this without confirming first that the ring you were going to make was what she wanted. At no point in your description of the ring do you explain why any of that was significant to her. Moreover, an engagement ring made by an amateur like you is never going to stack up next to a ring made by a professional. You set your sights way too high for your first attempt at ring making. She's the one who is going to wear it forever. She should have had a say in the process. You sit her down, ask her how she feels about the ring, explain your logic and time, and try to compromise with her on either changes or a replacement. Now, for the update. I'm still dealing with the fallout from my fiance's promotion announcement, and I'm not sure what to do next. A couple of days after the dinner with my parents, I was just hanging out at home when Olivia, my fiance, got a call from her mom. I wasn't trying to listen in or anything, but I heard them talking about wedding plans. Olivia mentioned wanting a more traditional wedding, which surprised me because we had talked about a simple ceremony. Later that week, we went to my parents' house for Sunday dinner, and man, the vibe was tense. My dad brought up the engagement ring again and asked Olivia if she liked it. She hesitated before saying she loved it, but her tone seemed kind of off. I could see her fiddling with the ring, which just confirmed my doubts. After dinner, I needed some fresh air, so I stepped outside, and my brother Jake joined me. He asked about our wedding plans, and I casually mentioned Olivia's comments about wanting a diamond ring. Jake seemed surprised and said he thought Olivia liked the ring I made. I went back inside feeling even more unsettled and decided to talk to Olivia about it later that night. So while we were watching TV, I brought up the ring, hoping to clear things up. Olivia brushed it off, saying she was happy with it, but I noticed her eyes were distant. I asked her directly if she preferred a diamond, and she just dodged the question. The following weekend, we went to this family wedding, which was super fancy. I watched Olivia admire the bride's diamond ring and bouquet, and it made me feel uneasy. During the reception, Olivia's younger cousin came over to show off her new engagement ring. I overheard Olivia saying it was so beautiful and so sparkly. I decided to take a break from the dance floor and went outside for some air. While I was out there, I ran into Olivia's dad, who mentioned he planned to buy Olivia a diamond ring. I was caught off guard and felt a wave of frustration building inside me. A few days later, I found out from my sister that Olivia had been talking to her about wedding details without me. I decided to confront Olivia about it, feeling more and more left out. We went for a coffee date, and I asked her about the conversations she had with my sister. She got defensive and said I was being paranoid and that she was just excited. The following week, I found a text from Olivia to her friend discussing wedding preferences. In the text, she mentioned wanting a ring upgrade and showed a photo of a diamond ring. I felt like I was losing control over our engagement, so I addressed the text directly. Olivia downplayed it, saying she was just browsing, but the conversation escalated. I insisted we talk about the ring, and she finally admitted she had been thinking about a diamond. The tension reached a breaking point, and Olivia said I was being unreasonable. We ended up arguing about expectations and what we both wanted for the future. A few days later, I went to my parents' house for some support. My mom noticed I was off and asked if everything was okay between Olivia and me. I explained the situation, and she suggested I take some time to think about what I want. The next weekend, I planned a picnic at the park to try to reconnect with Olivia. Just as I was about to talk about the ring again, Olivia interrupted, saying she had something to tell me. She revealed she had been offered a promotion at work, which required her to move. Edit. After Olivia's promotion announcement, we had a long conversation. She explained that the promotion entails a significant raise and a chance for advancement. However, it requires her to relocate temporarily. She made it clear that she wants me to join her in that city, but I have reservations. We discussed our options, including a long-distance relationship or me moving with her. Olivia expressed her disappointment about the engagement situation and asked if I would consider upgrading the ring. I told her that I needed time to think about everything. We agreed to take a break from wedding planning until we figure things out. Am I the idiot for kicking my freeloading brother out after he crashed my Christmas plans? For context, I am a 36-year-old female, and my husband is a 37-year-old male. Our child is a 3-year-old male, and we just moved overseas to New Zealand this year. So this will be our first Christmas away. I am looking forward to a peaceful and quiet holiday at the beach compared to our usual Christmas traditions, which were a lot more chaotic and expensive. My parents just got out of retirement, sold their old house, and are now looking forward to going on trips together. Enter my younger brother, a 30-year-old male, who still lives with them and has used them as a crutch all his life. He uses my mom and dad as a credit card, does his laundry, cooks his meals, all the works. He never wanted to leave the house because he is too spoiled by them. When they sold their house to move to a smaller one, I invited them to come to us for the holidays, as I wanted them to join us on our trip. Since we are from a third world country, this requires major planning, as they need documents for the visa prepared beforehand. I offered to help them with this, and they agreed. All is booked, all is well, until it's not. Apparently, they have been preparing for a third guest, my brother, to join them. They pre-booked everything for him without consulting me. They have been planning this behind my back, and I only learned about it when my brother asked me what the weather would be like when they arrived. I was livid. I told him that he is not allowed to go with us, and that was it. The next thing I know, my mom is calling me to ask what the problem is, saying they will be the ones paying for him and that they feel sorry for leaving him alone for Christmas. I stood firm and told her no. Coming from a conservative background, I feel bad and guilty. Any advice? To add, we are sponsoring my parents for this trip, as I do not want them to spend their money. They are going to stay in our house for 2 weeks, and we will drive around as our trip around New Zealand. Their currency is not that strong when converted to dollars, which is why I insist on them shouldering the cost of my brother's visa, food, and lodging. To paint a better picture of my relationship with my brother, we barely talk to each other. Most of the updates come from my mom. I stopped talking to him when he was on his 8th job and recently got dumped from his 4th girlfriend and went back to my mom and dad for the 3rd time. My brother has 2 kids from a previous relationship, which my parents support because, again, he can't support them by himself. He stole their car once and crashed it because he was driving while drunk. I can go on. It's normal for us to celebrate Christmas separately, as I have my own family and obligations. Sorry if you think he's Kevin from Home Alone, but he's not. He has his own life, friends, and family, or whatever. But the bottom line is, I don't like how he treats my parents, and I know it's a hard pill to swallow for some of you, but sometimes you need to draw a line, and it's okay. Thank you to those who relate and reached out. I'm in a better headspace now. Have a good life. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It's your brother. Why would you want him to spend Christmas alone? Has he done something to you, taking away how your parents treat him? Is he nasty? Do you not get along with him? If it's just because of how your parents treat him, then get over it. That is between them. Let your brother come for Christmas. Comment 2. Your house, your rules, of course. But what would you think if they were to put him up in a hotel? That would be okay, right? At the end of the day, you have no say over where other adults can travel, and I don't see a problem with wanting to see family over Christmas. Now, for the update, it's been a month since I last updated about the holiday drama with my brother, and things have gotten worse. I thought my life would get back to normal after my parents returned from New Zealand. They seemed to enjoy their trip, but my brother was still a topic of discussion. My mom casually mentioned how my brother was upset about being left out of the holiday. She said he felt abandoned and didn't know how to handle being alone. I brushed it off, thinking he needed to grow up and stand on his own, but wow, was I in for a surprise. A week later, my brother showed up at my house out of nowhere. He barged in with a suitcase and said he was staying with us for a while. I told him no way, and he needed to go back home. He argued that our parents had said it was okay for him to stay with me. My mom called right then and confirmed he could crash for a bit. Thanks, Mom. The first few days were crazy. My son struggled with the sudden change. My brother hogged the TV, leaving messes in the living room. I asked him multiple times to clean up, but he ignored me. The chaos peaked when he threw a party at my house without asking. He invited friends over, blasting music late into the night. I had to put my son to bed while the noise echoed through our home. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off, saying it was just a bit of fun. I told him it was unacceptable, but he fired back by saying I was too uptight. Frustrated, I called my parents to complain about the situation. They suggested I be more understanding of his difficult adjustment. Difficult? Seriously? I planned a family dinner and invited my parents over for a serious talk. I made it clear that my brother's behavior was affecting my family life. During the dinner, I laid everything out, emphasizing boundaries. My brother laughed it off, claiming he was just living his best life. I snapped and said he needed to start taking responsibility for himself. The atmosphere turned icy. My brother stormed out, shouting he didn't need this. After he left, my parents seemed shocked at the confrontation. I got a call from my brother later, demanding I apologize for embarrassing him. I refused, stating that he had crossed too many lines. My brother retaliated by spreading untrue stories about me to our relatives. I learned about this during a family gathering when an aunt confronted me. I decided to host a counter-gathering to clear my name. I invited everyone my brother had spoken to, sharing my side of the story. The relatives were shocked to hear the truth and sided with me. My brother's friends stopped visiting him, and he became isolated. Eventually, my brother reached out, wanting to talk. I told him I wouldn't engage unless he was ready to change. He didn't respond, and now he has been quiet for weeks. Mini update. My parents have apologized for enabling my brother's behavior. They didn't realize how much it had affected my family. They're now more supportive of my boundaries, which has improved our relationship. My brother hasn't contacted me since his last message, and I'm relieved to have some peace in my life. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.